you brought up a good point at the beginning about why people should travel and expand their horizons, right? I mean, it sounds like you discovered something that you didn't even quite know existed, right? Which was like this whole other world where you didn't have to feel this oppressive force on you at all times, as you did here. So I want to now hone in on that moment where you came back to the United States. What was it about coming back that really made you feel the difference? Can you because I imagine that, being away for months, getting used to this different environment, I can just imagine that you gained a sort of comfort level, right, with that. And then you kind of got somewhat used to it, right? After 6 months or whatever it was, I think it was 6 months. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So then you go back to the United States and you feel this palpable difference. Are you able to differentiate what it was that made you feel that?
I think it's a couple of things. I think the first thing is, especially with my interactions with Germans and Europeans in general, I feel like when it comes to race or the perception, as a Black person, you also need to think about how other people perceive you and how you move in the world. Um, and I feel that when I interact with Germans, I give them the benefit of the doubt, kind of situation where they're not judging me based upon how I look, but based upon my character. And usually, more times than none, that is what they're basing it upon, not based on my appearance. Where I feel like, as in the States, it's more like, okay, you're Black, and then everything else will come afterwards. When it comes to interacting with people, I think also another thing is with police officers. Obviously, there are police cases here in Germany as well, but I feel like generally with my interactions with police officers, were very positive. If I had questions or if something was wrong, I felt like I could go to them. A prime example, we were having a party 2 years ago, before Corona times, and it was a bit rambunctious, and a couple of police officers came to see what was going on. And when they came, I felt like their tone and the way that they carried themselves was more out of concern what was going on, lower it down. And I had a very general conversation with them. And there's also times when I was just lost in the city and just asked the police officer for assistance. I don't feel like when I'm walking around, people are the police officers are looking around my shoulders like that. Whereas in the States, I feel like, especially if I'm in a group of Black people or POCs, I feel that a cop is going to be coming over and trying to check out what's happening or something like that. And I wouldn't feel as comfortable going to a police officer in the States for general questions, or if I had a concern or something wrong, because I wouldn't give them the benefit of the doubt, or because of my history in the States and America's history.
Would you say that you overall feel safer in Germany than you did in the United States?
100%. 100%. It's just, I mean, the crime rates are just generally lower here. Gun control is a thing here. So, and this also goes to my other Black friends. She moves here from California, and she's been here for almost 6 years. And I asked her one question. I was just like, I see you definitely coming back late. And she lives in a very a solitude place in Berlin, where it's the train lines are very far from where she lives. And she was coming home at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was just like, do you generally feel safe traveling around in Berlin at that time? And she's like, yeah, I have no problems. General feeling.
That's awesome. I think I've heard several people kind of mention who have relocated from the United States to other countries about a level of security that they feel that they have that they didn't have in the United States, which I find very interesting because obviously people flee countries to come here, and that's kind of the narrative that we constantly hear. But there's this counter narrative developing all of a sudden now where people are like, no, actually, I feel way safer getting away from there. And so, the world is changing, and the veil has been pulled back. Thanks for watching. For access to the full-length conversation and all of the 2-hour-long unedited conversations that I've had on race, click the support link in the description below. Thanks for your support and see you next time.